from one of these witnesses saying that they saw the plane over the runway just before 9 with its landing gear still up. So as you know, when you are approaching the runway, usually you see that landing gear ready to deploy, but at this point it was not showing. And then the next we see is video of the plane on the ground, and according to the FAA, they said that the landing gear of this Transair short SD-360 cargo plane actually collapsed around 9 a.m. Now, as we said, 5 people were on board, no injuries yet. The FAA is investigating this, and that's good news that there were no actual injuries reported. But just to give you some context, there was a previous emergency landing. If you remember, Transair was the carrier that had an emergency landing over the water about 4 years ago, and also a similar situation with landing gear issues with a similar plane. So that was reported to us as well. We'll continue to follow this story as we do throughout the day. As again, the FAA reporting that they are investigating this emergency landing by this plane. Luckily, no injuries to report here. Reporting live here at Honolulu Airport, Annalisa Burgos. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Annalisa. Well, 5 people, including 3 children, were rushed to the hospital after a 2-car crash on the H1 freeway this morning. It happened at 8:30 in the eastbound lanes by the Kilauea exit. The 2 adults in their 30s and the children ages 4, 7, and 8 all had serious injuries. No word on what caused the crash. President Trump is declaring that a trade deal with China is done, but nothing has been finalized. As Melanie Zanona reports, both sides say they are happy.
We just worked very positively into the night to get this deal done.
President Trump's trade standoff with China could be coming to an end. After 2 days of talks, U.S. and Chinese negotiators say they have agreed to a deal that should clear up a stalemate and de-escalate tensions between the world's largest economies. President Trump hailed the deal as done, and that China has agreed to provide rare earths to the U.S. quickly. Those are the all-important metals that create magnets needed to run vehicles, phones, and other electronics. While China says the 2 sides have agreed in principle to a framework of a deal,
President Trump's got to approve the final wording. President Xi's got to approve the final stuff. It's not really wording, it's really the deal.
President Trump has long claimed that China has taken advantage of the U.S.'s trade policy.
They're a little spoiled from having such great success against our negotiators.
Both countries cut back their triple-digit tariffs last month, but the U.S. accused China of not holding up their end of the bargain. Then, after a phone call with the 2 leaders last week, relations got friendlier.
He fixed everything with President Xi, got us on the right track.
The administration says there will still be a 55% tariff on Chinese goods, and U.S. exports will be taxed 10%. Since he took office, President Trump has imposed tariffs on almost every country in the world, and then rescinded or paused most of them. That's caused confusion for U.S. businesses who are now paying more to get their products into the country, after passing on those costs to American consumers. Democrats say Trump's tariffs are causing confusion around the world.
We object to the chaotic nature of how those tariffs are being applied. We've driven away friends across the globe. We've driven away careful allies.
In a hearing on Capitol Hill today, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said there are 18 important trading partners that the Trump trade team is currently working with. Melanie Zanona, NBC News, Washington. A curfew has gone into effect in part of downtown Los Angeles amid protests against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Now, the president has deployed hundreds of Marines and thousands of National Guard troops to the city to quell the unrest. And California's governor is taking action to stop what he calls a brazen abuse of power. Danya Backus reports from L.A.
Authorities in Los Angeles are calling on the Trump administration to stop what they call reckless immigration raids fueling protests downtown.
When you raid Home Depots and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, and when you run armored caravans through our streets, you're not trying to keep anyone safe. You're trying to cause fear and panic.
LA Mayor Karen Bass has imposed a nightly curfew for 1 square mile of the area amid isolated instances of violence and looting. On the first night alone, Los Angeles police carried out over 200 arrests for failure to disperse. Hundreds of others have been arrested for other offenses since demonstrations began.
Our community must be kept safe.
At least 2 men are facing federal charges, accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at police officers and sheriff deputies, which carry more severe penalties.
We can bring arson charges, explosive device charges. We can bring Hobbs Act robbery charges for the looters. We're coming after all these people.
The development comes just days after President Trump mobilized 4,000 National Guard troops to secure federal buildings in L.A. and 700 Marines, now stationed more than 20 miles away.
We don't need the National Guard, and they're not here to help us right now. They're here to facilitate what the federal agencies are doing on the immigration front.
California Governor Gavin Newsom shared those sentiments.
We do not want our streets militarized by our own armed forces.
A federal judge is set to hold a hearing Thursday over the governor's request to block the Trump administration from using troops in L.A. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Meanwhile, Hawaii's governor tells us he supports Governor Newsom.
I did communicate at great length with Governor Newsom in support of him. I think that we shouldn't have this conflict between Americans. I really don't think that we should see National Guard or active duty military ever be used in circumstances like
The military deployment to Los Angeles will apparently last 60 days and cost $134 million. Well, the state says a former jail guard who is now locked up for killing his mother has been involved in a prison fight. Former OCCC Corrections Officer Anthony Pereira II was in an altercation at the Halawa Correctional Facility on Saturday that left another inmate hospitalized. That inmate has since returned to the prison. Pereira is serving a life sentence for shooting and killing his mother in Maili back in 2016. No word yet on any charges in Saturday's attack. And there's also no word of charges in last month's Halawa prison attack against serial road rager Nathaniel Radamak. The 38-year-old was sent to an emergency room after an alleged beating occurred behind bars. We reached out to the state for any update and are waiting to hear back. Radamak is facing assault charges for a parking dispute in Kaka'ako and will eventually be sent back to California, where he was convicted of 8 other road rage assaults. A 100-year-old man in a quiet Manoa neighborhood is victimized again. Derek Kravitsky has reaction and a closer look at the crime stats.
Memorial Day on Waipuna Rise. Neighbors say burglars used a crowbar to break into the home of a 100-year-old man.
When you have things like this happen, it makes you feel like you needed to be on additional heightened alert.
And they say the same home was burglarized 2 years ago on Thanksgiving. 2 neighbors chased away the thieves.
You know, it's been pretty bad after the pandemic, like down the road. I know you guys are probably aware of the things that happened at the shopping center, the stabbing, the other things. So, you know, we noticed that a lot more crime is coming into Manoa.
This crime map shows all crimes reported to HPD this year, within a half a mile of Waipuna Rise. There have been 11 thefts, including burglaries, car break-ins, and robberies. No word yet from HPD on this latest case.
We also are surprised and sad because our neighborhood feels really safe and everyone knows each other. Like if there's even a new jogger on the street or something, everyone in my neighborhood knows about it and talks about it. So I think we watch out for each other.
A reminder that the first line of defense in any community are watchful neighbors. Derek Kravitsky, Hawaii News Now.
Hawaii's largest health insurer is trying to convince the state's highest court to overturn a landmark ruling. Lawyers for HMSA argued at the Hawaii Supreme Court yesterday, appealing a case involving patients who suffered or died after being denied certain treatments. HMSA says its rules help doctors do their jobs quickly and effectively. However, last year, a circuit court ruled that HMSA's contracts made it expensive and unfair for doctors to challenge its decisions on coverage, and that interfered with patient care.
We submit to the court that these contracts are completely unconscionable and should be thrown out.
It's not trying to enter into standardized agreements so it can give itself an unfair advantage. This is a massive undertaking that HMSA undergoes to send these agreements to all potential providers throughout the state.
Well, it's just one step. This is a big picture thing, meaning that has nothing to do with me. It has to do with all the physicians in Hawaii. This is my home. I was born and raised in Hawaii. I will fight and fight and fight for what I believe is right, because that's wrong what they're doing. That's all there is. I'll keep fighting.
The court is expected to rule in the coming months, and the decision could set a precedent for similar contract disputes nationwide. Well, here's a live look at Kilauea right now, and you can see that the lava is bubbling there at the vent. The USGS says precursory activity is underway in Hale-Ma'uma'u crater, and they expect episode 25 will begin soon. We could see actual lava fountains possibly today or tomorrow.
And of course, with the fountain in Hale-Ma'uma'u crater, we're watching the VOG forecast very closely. We've got light VOG across the majority of the state right now, but breezy trade winds by the time we go into Thursday and Friday will clear most of that VOG away from the rest of the island chain. Of course, we're still going to be seeing lots of VOG, especially if there's another episode of the eruption today around Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, the Kona coast of Hawaii Island, and also near South Point. But the overall VOG plume will be staying off towards the west and southwest of Hawaii Island. A quick look at our current air quality across the state. Even though we're seeing light VOG out there, air quality hasn't dropped from normal levels across the entire island chain. Coming up in my full forecast, I'll give you another closer look at the VOG forecast and also talk about how we're expecting stronger winds heading into the weekend.
Thank you, Drew. Ahead on This Is Now, more parents are getting credit cards for their babies, how this could help secure a child's financial future. Plus, music icon and Beach Boys founder Brian Wilson dies at the age of 82. Why his story is being remembered as one of resilience. We'll be right back. More parents are getting a head start in establishing their children's credit ratings by getting them credit cards at a very young age. Usher Qureshi has details on what parents need to know.
Are you done shopping?
No, I'm more shopping.
You want more shopping?
Shannon Ho may be playing pretend with 2-year-old Aria and 1-year-old Gemma, but the lessons this mom is teaching are real.
She likes to buy Cheerios with her credit card. Cheerios and what else? Water bottles. Fiji water bottles. That's it.
Also real are the credit cards. As babies, Aria and Gemma have 2 cards each.
I figured, why not? My parents did it for me when I was a kid, so I did the same for my girls.
She and husband Jeremy added both daughters as authorized users on their existing card accounts.
My 1-year-old has no idea what's going on. My 2-year-old, however, I do take her to Target every week to buy her cheese crackers and her snacks, and she picks 2 items. any two, and she gets to pay. She taps and pay, and we check out and leave.
Why?
5 shoes, 5 pairs for me? Okay, I'm ready.
With each tap, Aria is building a credit history, which will help determine her future credit score.
There's really no too early. The earlier, the better, right?
Financial advisor Winnie Sun says many banks, including Capital One, Bank of America, and Chase, allow kids to be authorized card users as long as they have a social security number.
Why is it so important to have a good credit score?
This is sort of your financial GPA. If you have a good one, that enables you better rates on your mortgage, better rates on your car loan. Maybe that apartment you're looking to rent is going to be advantageous to have something more attractive. And most importantly, a lot of employers are actually looking for a high credit score in order to give you that next job too.
What was their first word? Mama, dada, or credit card?
Mama.
Mama! Not credit card?
Not credit card.
Shannon says with every tap, the kids are securing their financial futures
Can you tap? Oh, good job.
and learning the value of $1.
It's a habit we build from a young age to spend only what you are given or what you can afford and nothing more.
If you decide to get an early start, pay your bill in full on time every month to avoid passing down a negative credit score. And pay special attention to monitoring your bill to make sure there are no unauthorized purchases. Usher Qureshi, CBS News.
Brian Wilson, the leading force behind the Beach Boys, whose hits have endured for more than half a century, has died. He was 82 years old. Bradley Blackburn takes a look back at the life of a cultural icon.
Brian Wilson was the founding member of the Beach Boys, the California sound band that emerged in 1961 and has created good vibrations for millions of fans ever since. At 82, Wilson was the oldest and last surviving of 3 bandmate brothers, with Carl on lead guitar and Dennis on drums. Together, they went from Southern California to become global sensations, with sun and surf songs like California Girls.
I wish they all could be California girls.
And Surfin' USA.
Surfin' USA.
Wilson served as the band's producer, co-lead vocalist, bassist, keyboardist, and composer.
Songwriting is basically the most important part of a record. It's the song itself.
Wilson was celebrated for his arrangements and musical originality that gave way to groundbreaking works like Pet Sounds in 1966, considered by some to be one of the best albums of all time. In a 2015 interview with CBS Sunday Morning, Wilson shared how moved he was by the recording.
I was so proud of that album, I could have cried.
Brian Douglas Wilson was born into a musical family in Inglewood, California in 1942. He and his brothers often sang together in the living room, learning to harmonize, even though Wilson was mostly deaf in one ear. He struggled at times with substance abuse and suffered a breakdown from stress and exhaustion in 1964 when he stopped touring. In 1988, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Over the years, Wilson and the Beach Boys racked up more than 30 singles in the top 40 and worldwide sales of more than 100 million. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
And rest in peace to Brian Wilson. Let's take a look at our first alert weather headlines. Stick around. Coming up after the break, we'll talk about the stronger trades expected this weekend.
weather with Drew Davis.
All right, everybody, we've been talking about it all week long. We've got stronger trade winds expected this weekend. They're going to get gusty by the time we get to Saturday and Sunday and into the beginning of next week as well. A couple of showers out there, but mostly will be confined to windward and Malco locations. Of course, we already showed you our first alert VOG forecast. Light VOG out there, really not dropping the air quality too much, but these breezy trades that we're expecting, especially throughout Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, will blow all of the VOG plume away from the island chain, still impacting the Kona coast of Hawaii Island in areas just downwind of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, but overall light VOG will be moving out. Our island by island forecast for Thursday, Kauai, we've got scattered showers and mostly sunny conditions, easterlies between 10 to 15 miles per hour, and you can see moving down to Oahu, mostly sunny, 87 in town tomorrow, a little bit warm out there. 87 in Kapolei as well, easterlies between 10 to 20 miles per hour, sunny and breezy over Maui County. 85 in Kaunakakai, 87 in Kahului, and 87 in Kihei as well. A little bit warm out there, especially throughout the next several afternoons. We're really in this summer-like pattern, a very copy and paste weather pattern as we're going forward, except stronger trade winds are expected this weekend. Isolated showers expected on the northern portions of Hawaii Island. Just a quick look at our first alert windcast. You can see overall east-northeasterly flow continuing throughout the next several afternoons as we're going into Thursday afternoon, between 15 to 20 mile per hour sustained winds out there. And by the time we get to Friday afternoon, they're a little bit stronger. Just taking a quick look at our maximum wind gusts over the last 24 hours. In town, a little bit weaker, around 25 miles per hour, but over parts of Maui County, Kahului had a 38 mile per hour wind gust, and Kaunakakai around 30. Our first alert radar and satellite, not much out there. We've seen some clouds sticking around over near Hawaii Island, but overall, very minimal rainfall out there. A few sprinkles along the Ko'olau over the last hour or so. Maui County relatively quiet. Hawaii Island still a band of clouds hanging around over near the Big Island. Kauai, also some Malco cloud cover out there. We're tracking the tropics. Not much going on outside out there. We're really not seeing any impacts out there. Of course, we're still tracking the area that's just to the southwest of Mexico. I also want to show you our surf and shoreline forecast. West and south facing shores are on the decline. East facing shores around 3 to 5 feet. Still a little bit choppy out there. Those are expected to grow as we're going forward because of these breezy trades. You can see as we're going into the weekend, stronger trade winds, 15 to 20 miles per hour. Saturday, 15 to 25 miles per hour, a little bit gusty as we're going into Father's Day.
Thanks, Drew. Still to come, a heartwarming campaign to save one of the world's smallest schools from closing. That's coming up in today's Good News Now. smallest schools on the planet has scored a huge win.
This school in Scotland is defying the odds and dodging closure in a heartwarming way. Tina Kraus has the story.
Tucked away in a tiny hamlet in Scotland sits one of the world's smallest schools.
My name is Holly and I'm the class teacher at Dare Primary School.
Holly Graves has only 2 students.
That looks great. Well done.
Shannon and Molly.
We're best friends. Best friends.
Not just in her class, but in the entire school. A number that didn't add up for the local council, which decided the school should close, stirring a heartfelt campaign to save it.
This is where Wellies go.
With 2 tenacious tour guides.
Our fish, if you want to see our fish. Our pet fish. This is the dinner table.
And 1 determined teacher.
On paper, it's 2 children. In reality, it's the whole community. We have so many more children in the school throughout the week with toddler group and with our nurture group.
That close community bond has helped spark a local baby boom, delivering the school's saving grace, with more little learners waiting in the wings.
Once or twice a week. Yeah, we just get lessons here at the beach. It's quite nice. We get to do math, spelling, stories. We make up our own stories. I think people should really go here because it's such a good school. I would never want it to close. But not too many people, please.
Chalk one up for a lesson in resilience. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
I'm really glad those 2 girls are best friends.
Yeah.
It would be really awkward
If they didn't get along, that would be terrible.
All right, thanks for watching. This is Now, everybody. More news first at 4 right here on KHNL. Aloha.